Hey, what's up? My name is Erin Dawson. I'm the DevRel Communications Manager at Oracle. And today I'm talking with my colleague Nacho about a series that he's writing about League of Legends and how to use Oracle Cloud to optimize gameplay there. How's it going, Nacho? How are you?
Oh, very well. Thank you for the introduction.
Yeah, absolutely. So at the time that we're recording this, I think you have 3 individual parts of the series published right now, and there will be a link to these articles. And you have a few more coming that you're writing.
Yeah.
So in between now and you writing the rest of the articles, I thought this would be, a nice point to press pause and
Mhm.
talk about this project because I think it's relevant to a lot of what folks in our team and in the DevRel team are excited about. What does that include? That includes Oracle Cloud, obviously, but also Python and machine learning. So it's super relevant right now. So there's a lot to dive into, and I have to come clean just right off the bat. I'm kind of a side scroller and family friendly RPG player. I really don't dabble with anything that involves a mouse in terms of gaming.
Yeah.
So I guess just to kick us off, can you say a few words about like what League of Legends is and maybe how you started playing it?
Hmm. Yeah. Well, League of Legends is a really popular video game. It currently has I believe it was like something like 100 million players monthly, or even more. I think it's one of the most played games in the history of esports, together with Fortnite and some other games that are at the same level. And well, it's basically a strategy game where you usually play 5 players against 5 players, and it's really important to play as a team. And it's a highly competitive game because people usually get addicted. Funnily enough, I think there was some case of someone that died playing the game for 40 hours or something like that.
Yikes.
Uh, yeah, I know. So, I mean, it's pretty popular. And I started playing when I was, I don't know, like 14 or something like that, like 12 years ago. And it was the beta phase for League of Legends. And I became pretty good the first 2 years that I played. I reached diamond level. I don't know if you're aware of the different ranks, but basically you have ranks that go from iron, bronze, silver, gold, platinum, diamond, master, grandmaster, and challenger. And I've been most my life at diamond level, but never professionally. I mean, I've played some tournaments here. When I was in the university, I played with my university team. I will show you a video later if you like. But yeah, it was only for fun or to make some money in some tournaments and everything. And yeah, I mean, about 3 years ago or something, I stopped playing the game to focus on my career and learning about what I do. So right now, League of Legends is just a hobby that I don't practice very often, but I'm more focused on the data aspect and the data science aspect related to the game.
So let me get this right. For a time you were interested in maybe becoming like a professional esports player for League of Legends?
Well, I've never been that good, and I don't think it's a very realistic career path. So I quickly threw that off my brain.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I believe in you, whatever direction you end up going in life. All right, cool. So what is this series trying to do, right? Because this isn't a series of articles that's saying here's how to improve playing League of Legends. This is a League of Legends optimizer series.
Mm.
So what is it that you're encouraging folks to like try to improve in terms of their optimization, and what do they need to get started, walking through your articles in terms of like a tech
Right.
stack.
Well, you don't really need to be very tech savvy because everything is explained from the ground level in order for new developers to come and try this out. So I mean, it's I start from really simple stuff on these articles, but well, it's really up to someone to don't know what to say. I forgot the first part of the question. What was the first part?
Oh, it's cool. I think I asked like, what is it that you're optimizing? Because the
Oh, right.
series is called League of Legends
Yeah,
Optimized.
yeah,
So what is it that you're optimizing, and like, what do you need to start optimizing? What do you need to
yeah,
start doing that?
yeah. So it started as a project that wanted to optimize the picks on. So when you play League of Legends, you have champions to choose from, right? So the idea at the beginning was, okay, there are some teams that don't have a really solid strategy on picking champions, because you have to pick the champions before you go into a game, and then you can't change them anymore. So there's really a lot of strategy involved in this process in the esports world, and I wanted to optimize this. But then I realized, okay, there are a lot of statistics and many other websites in League of Legends analytics that give you this just with basic statistics, and I didn't realize this at the beginning, but then the article series took a turn, because at the beginning, it was more, okay, let's try to apply machine learning in a forced way, but then it took a turn into something more specific, which is trying to predict the outcome. And we've seen this, I don't know if it was a Premier League or some sports, when they tell you, okay, there's like a 65 probability of Rafael Nadal winning, or,
Sure.
so yeah, something like that. It's still under development because I still have to integrate with an API that everybody has. So whenever you play League of Legends, and many people don't know this, there's a port that starts listening and transmitting data in your PC locally. So you can actually extract data from the game that you're playing on live. And that's the idea. Create a model around that data model, and being able to see how well you're doing compared on a lot of data that has been extracted for professional players using Riot Games API.
I'm with you. Okay, cool. Let's talk team composition. And this is what you obliquely referred to when you talked about there's a lot of strategy here. And so I learned a lot from your first article in terms of what we're calling team composition. And let me see if I can get this right. So you get 5 bands, or we at least assume that in your article. And the idea is that you want to eliminate as many threats as possible. My question is this: wouldn't that make strategy obvious to the other team, such that they save that the champion, I think it's called, that they actually want to play with as their like 5th slot, right?
Yeah.
Is that a bad question? That's a bad question.
Yeah, because you also have a pick order, and it's a really good question. And there's a lot of strategy around this, actually, because I mean, you can ban 1 or 2 champions that are pretty good around one other champion, but there are more than 150 champions in League of Legends. So there's a balancing team inside Riot Games that the only thing that they do, well, as far as I know, is balance champions in order so that not only one champion is bad against another. So if one champion is countered easily by one other champion, that's fine. But if it's countered by 5 or 6 champions, then they buff the other champion.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So in the end, they try to make balances so that no champion can be countered easily by so many other champions. And the 5th pick is usually handled or strategized around so that only one, one team has the 1st pick and another one has a 5th pick. So you have the advantage of being able to pick the most or the strongest in the game at the moment as the 1st pick, and the other team cannot take that. But on the other hand, you don't have the 5th pick. So the last pick is also as important probably as the 1st pick. You are taking more risks by 1st picking, and you are playing more safe by last picking. But it has some advantages and disadvantages.
I'm learning so much. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
No problem.
Rad. Okay, so let's actually talk about just super, super high level. Let's talk about what this article series is doing. And super, super reductive, oversimplified version, you are using a Riot Games API endpoint. You're getting a lot of data. You're using Python and an ML library to process that blob of data to help predict who will win a tournament. How'd I do? Is that hot, cold?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Okay, I guess we could end here. So talk me through, so that was like the super simplistic version. Talk me through the like a little less simplistic, a little more complex version of that. Like how are you getting to where you'll ultimately be by predicting the winner of the tournament?
Yeah. Well, it's a great question, actually. You're doing great questions. The model or the AI model has been trained with professional players' data, and I thought this was really important because players like me or like my friends, we all make mistakes, but there are some supernatural players like in the highest ranks of League of Legends that make so little mistakes that every game is tied until, I don't know, until 45 minutes, and that's extremely rare. And I thought, okay, we need to take out the human factor from the equation. And I'm sure that there are humans as well, but there are some people that speculate that they have supernatural powers or something by how well they play, you know? So if we want to create an AI model able to predict mistakes and able to predict differences, very slight differences between team compositions and stuff, we need to take out the human factor. And that's why I only consider in our data set games played by people above Master Elo. And if there are some skeptical players from League of Legends watching this right now, I'm sure they will say, okay, well, Master Elo is not enough. But if you take distribution of players compared by the rank, the number of players above Masters Elo is less than 0.1% of the whole League of Legends population. So, well, maybe we could consider only challenger players or LCS players, which is the league, the most official Riot Games tournament. But then we wouldn't have enough data. So we had to make a trade-off between the amount of data we considered and the number of players and their skill level.
Amazing. Okay, cool. So we're taking the human factor out so that we can sort of distill what we're ultimately trying to do, which is, you know, again, predict who's going to win given certain factors. Again, we're using Python to do this. We're doing an ML library. We're using an ML library for this. So that's what we're doing. Can you say a little bit about how we're doing that? And I know that it starts with ingesting or getting that big data blob and processing it, but maybe
Mm,
talk to me about some of the functions that you're using. And I know you're using a non-relational database, for example. And I know that the autonomous JSON DB feature
yeah,
of Oracle Cloud is a really important aspect of getting to where you want to go.
yeah,
So yeah, maybe talk about that, like the functions of distilling
hmm
that data and using
yeah,
that cloud feature to get there.
mm, yeah. Well, yeah, autonomous JSON database is really powerful and really necessary for the problem that we have uh, for this article series, because um, well, there are many people that will say that, okay, relational model, database model is better than non-relational. But when you have such amounts of data and they already come in a non-structured way, you always have to do some kind of processing to convert the data from JSON format, for example, into relational. So you have to do the database schema, you have to do the relations, the foreign keys, and everything. And the thing is, non-relational databases, you don't need that because you don't even need two documents or two elements of the same collection to be the same. They could have different types of data, and that's completely fine for us. And since the data already comes in a JSON format from the Riot Games API, I think the JSON database was really handy.
Mhm.
And many people don't know this, but the Oracle JSON database, the autonomous one, also has a SQL inside, so you can actually create views from the relations. And you wouldn't notice that you're using a non-relational database, like I don't know, in Firebase or any Google alternatives. Um, so yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a really crucial part of the project.
Cool, cool. Thanks for explaining that a little bit.
Mm.
So in terms of processing the data, getting back to the maybe the Python version or portion of this, like how are you using Python to parse that data, or are you parsing it all? Maybe that's not right. And I don't know, like so where like with the third article in this series, where are we at right now?
Mhm. Well, definitely there's been some parsing and some changes in the regional data. Of course, there are some changes that we need to consider, like, for example, if a player changes the name, what happens to the games? Do we track that player again? So we have to make some checks, and we usually consider users uh, regarding their UID, like their unique identifier, instead of their names. So we have to do some modifications if they change their name and everything. And well, let me remind everyone that this is completely open source. So the code is available for everyone, and it's been peer reviewed, and you have access to the code if you want to look at it. But it's really simple code from Python. It uses open source libraries to make the analysis. We use sklearn. We use a standard Python version, Python 3, of course.
Mhm.
And we use also some AutoML libraries to simplify the AI process. Because I'm a strong believer that most part or the hardest parts that uh, of ML that people are sometimes deterred to enter into ML because of the programming part.
Yeah.
Programming part is not really that hard, and we can automate most of that. The most important thing in data science, I think, is to get the data right.
Mm. Yeah, that's an excellent point. So I think and my understanding is that there are two additional series left, or two articles in the series left, 4 and
Yeah.
5. Where are we going? And are we still using the same sort of tech stack to get there? which is
Mhm.
in my mind, like a pretty streamlined, I'm not going to say simple, a streamlined tech stack. How are we getting to what you're discussing in 4 and 5? And in that fifth one, are you ultimately offering a solution for here's how to like straight up predict a winner given some data? And how are you getting there?
Sure.
That was a lot of questions. I'm sorry.
No problem. I can answer all of them. Well, the first part of the article series was, of course, to get the data to train the model, right? And for that, we extracted data from professional players using the API, as we said. But what we need to do now is the real-time part, which is the cool part. And that part involves getting live data from your game using the, I think the name is the live game API or something like that, where you extract the data locally from your game using this new API, and then compare that data or verify if that data is consistent with what we have already in our structure, and make a prediction of how well you're doing, like your performance index. Compare, there are some factors that we can consider, like, are you doing well on vision score? Are you doing well on kills? Are you farming enough? Those kind of things. And try to tell you, okay, well, you're above the average. You should be doing this. There's like a 5% probability you're playing horribly, or you're almost gonna win almost 100%,
Yeah,
So this is a cool part, the real-time part where you can see the results of ML applied in every game that you play.
definitely. Okay, cool. I'm learning so much. Thank you so much. Links to all of these articles will be, I feel like a YouTuber right now, down below.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
And they'll all be expertly edited. I don't know by who, yours truly, but they'll be really clean, proofread, succinct articles to learn how to predict a champion for a League of Legends tournament. Nacho, thank you so much for talking with me today.
You're welcome.
And I guess we'd end it there.
Yeah.